Right. So let's get started. Welcome to this product seminar for Boardon, and specifically for pre-boarding with onboarding and with the solution Boardon. I am Stefan Sjö. I'm going to be hosting this, and I have a co-host, Amanda Steinman, also checking the questions and keeping up with anything that's outside of the actual presentation. Hopefully we will manage to have a good afternoon. I will take about half an hour for presentation, and then we're open for questions. So hopefully that will be good for everyone. So about myself, I've been working with digital learning since the 90s. In the later years, I have had my own company together with a couple of partners that called Digicy, and we started this company in 2017 called Boardon, specializing in onboarding solutions. And today we're going to look at the solution called Boardon, or in Swedish it's introduktion.nu. So how to make a lasting first impression? That's our tagline. Well, the thing that you want to achieve with this solution, at least, is to get the feeling after you signed your contract, you're getting the new work, you leave the workplace after you signed, and you get an invite directly into your cell phone like this, and with the appropriate branding and the feel and the quality that you want to have from your company. So it's meant to be a pre-boarding solution that can also be used as an onboarding solution as you get into the company. Maybe the first couple of months or a couple of weeks, depending on how your process works. It's free to start using this solution, and it's free to send out these invites. You can register it directly from our web page. I can show you directly from the web page as well. So this is our web page, boardon.io, and you can click on Get Started. And from there, it's quite easy to adapt it to your own. You can get your own URL. And you can actually change today between two domains, the more international Boardon.io, and if you're Scandinavian, it might work with introduction.nu. And from this view, you will start a guide that will create a new account for you. So today I will show you an already created account that we have called Your Brand, which is very easy to understand because we want this to be the brand that you have is going to be in the center. It's very important for us. So let's log on to that demo environment. Oh, sorry. Of course, I want to be in the administration. So let's log on to the demo environment. This is what you get directly when you register for a new account. Of course, there are some statistics already here, as I have used this before, but it's pretty much the same setup as you would get from registering online. So you get your dashboard where you see all the stages of your users, if they have been invited, and what kind of device they're using, if they're using mobile phones, tablet, or desktops, and if they have logged in or completed different onboarding plans. So there's also a report function where you can filter for specific users, or you can filter on specific plans, like my different countries or different parts of the organizations. And you can also check specific events, for example, who got an invite, who logged in the latest. So that's what you want to get after using this system for quite a little while. As you saw these images in the beginning in the presentation, it's very mobile friendly. And if I preview one of the users here, you can see how it would look. There's a small preview function down here on the bottom. So it's a welcome message with your name. It's a welcoming video. It's a countdown to your first day. And there's a timeline with a background image that you can change to reflect your company's branding. So each activity would have one or several learning nuggets, and you can have them spread out over time before the first day and onwards within the company. There is also a library function where you can add more content as you go along. At the bottom, you see the your contact details and some more information. Are you inside the European Union? You can also create GDPR requests if you have been added involuntary to this system in any way. So this is what we want to get at, and I'm going back to more detailed functions about this later on. So let's move on. That was how it would look for a user in the preview function. And I'm now going to show you how to, if you're registering an account and want to try this, I'm going to show you some of the basic settings so you get started and don't get stuck on the way. Firstly, up here under information, there is a small I. This is actually the first thing that will welcome you when you start, if you have registered your own account. It's built in Google Slides, and we use this for preparing and showing the basic functionality like this. So you never get stuck if you use these quite handy little guides. Also, for each big part, like user part now we're in, there is also an instruction guide for creating new user if you get stuck in that. So it's the same, it's a Google Slides, and you can just follow that, creating a user from scratch. Easy to find arrows. Today I'm going to go, instead of going top down, as most common tasks are ordered top down for managers and HR representatives, I'm going to go from the bottom up, so to say. This is the more task you need to use before the first time you log in. For example, you want to change anything in your what kind of support email you have or which country your residence in, you can change that here. You can also change the SMS or the text message senders that you have, or the email sender. For example, if you want that to be more detailed in the email, you can do that. The text messages or SMS in the Nordics would be truncated to 11 letters, as that's the standard for text messages. Okay, so that's the account settings, very handy. If you go to front page settings, you can change your colors very easily with the color picker, or you can just add your company's brand manual guidelines here and try out the main color, the secondary color, and the highlight color. I can change the logo quite easily just clicking on this and updating. I can show you how to update the background image, for example. Just click on the plus sign and go to my folder on my desktop and just pick up the background like this. There's a very nice slider function down here, so I don't need to work with it in Photoshop or any other tool to get the appropriate shadiness, so it's easy to see the text superimposed on this background. So that's a very nifty function. If you're an advanced user, you can also add your style sheet, custom style sheet codes down here. For example, adding a typeface or something like that. So once you're happy with the portal look and the colors, you can add your learning content. Usually you have something you want to send to your employees before the first day. It could be your user manual for staff user manual. It could be some kind of company guidelines or something like that. So I'm just clicking on the add function here to upload. I have a specialized onboarding article I want to add here, and just upload it to the library, and I can use this in any content that I want to distribute to my users later on. So that's the file section, and I use these files, for example, in the learning content. We have different types of learning content you can use for helping your new employees getting to know your company. If I add a new content here, you see that I have quite a different selection of varieties. I have this file. For example, if I want to add this file I just uploaded, I can just find it here, onboarding, and I just add the text for that. I can either have a description text around this learning content, or I can just want to open it just when they click the button in the timeline like this. It could also be a YouTube clip. Let's say that I have an introduction video. Just add the ID here. It will automatically find the YouTube clip. Very newly added is the Vimeo function. So you can, if you have Vimeo inside your company, you can use that for increased security and control over what is shown. YouTube is free, but you don't have the same amount of control as Vimeo, of course. You can use any external links that you already have on the on your intranet or extranet. And there is also a quiz function. We can add multiple choice questions. And these quizzes have a passing score. You can also actually set how many questions they have to answer correctly to get a passing score. It's not very advanced, but it's a good way to, in your mobile phone or on the PC, to just get that kind of final touch after they've seen the instruction program. You can make sure that they remember something from it before the first day. A nice feature I like is this text and image. It doesn't see much for the world, but you can actually use it for making small articles directly here. You don't want to have too much information for a new employee. It's okay to just add the things that employees really need before the first day. If you have too much text or you have too much information, they're not going to read it. So use this opportunity to really engage the users. So maybe a short article, just the most important things before they start, could be what they need, and not the whole PDF manual. So that's something to think about. If you have any legal or regulatory needs, there is also a function that you can add I have completed this learning content, something that they actually have to do manually to note that this has been completed. And that goes for all these different content types, apart from the quiz, where you actually need to complete the quiz to be approved. So there's a wide variety of different content types you can use to help your new employees get onboarded. We try to differ between activities and learning contents. Activities is something that can be time-based, something you need to do, a meeting with your manager or your buddy that you're doing before the first day or after the first day. Whereas a learning content can be added to any activity or just added to the library. So that's a way of using different tools to engage the user. Maybe activity is the right thing for some types of content, and learning content and the library can be good for other types of content. Okay. Sorry, I have a bit of a cold today. So what's an activity then? I talked about it before, but a staff meeting maybe before the first day, for example. And you can also add a location at the office or at another venue or some kind. And this is more of text or placeholder. And you can connect then one or several learning contents to this activity. So I can add many learning contents to this, like this. If you have employee days where you start up at a certain time and place, you can also have a fixed date. For example, if I have a monthly or biannual employee day, I can add those, and they will be automatically added to the timeline if they're inside the scope of the timeline. So if I'm starting my first day somewhere around November the 25th, I would get this activity shown in the timeline for me. So it's very interactive. Right, so if we have learning content, we have our files, and we have all the activities added, I can do a onboarding plan. And the beauty of these onboarding plans is that I can actually make one general template for all employees, and then I can multiply it for different types of groups or different countries or different departments. For example, if you want to multiply this, I just click on the symbol down here and it would duplicate and it would be a copy of itself. So it's a very good way of doing something in generic on top level in the company. Then you can add more administrators and make them owner of their plan. But if you have a learning content and an activity, that can be the same in all of the plans. And if that has to be updated, a new document added or an updated document, that would propagate into all the plans. So that's a very good function for updating. We want to have as little administration as possible, but on the other hand, we don't want to lose that personal touch. So when we come to creating users, there are a lot of adaptations that can be done. So let's get back to that when I'm adding a new user later on. So we have this introduction plan. I can see this as a template. I have my video, introduction videos. We added a video, if you remember. I can just add that if you like, or I can just keep that what we have the timeline in a more generic view, and I can change the order or the timing, how many days before the first day the counter goes to. And this is just a template. For each user, that timeline would look different depending on when they actually start. And with the plus sign here, I just add an event. I can add my activities, or I can actually add a reminder. For example, if you add a reminder, I can send that to the user a couple of days before they start, or a couple of days before they have to do something. Or I can actually change, so I can send it to a supervisor or a coach or a buddy, so they get the reminder that in a short while a new employee is coming to start. So you can use that as a process support as well. But on the other hand, you don't want to have too many different reminders going out, so you can actually add conditions. For example, that the quiz, if that is not completed, then they get the reminder. If they have completed the quiz, they're on track. You don't want to send them reminders because you can be quite sure that they're on track with their onboarding. So a lot of functions there that you can go into more in depth when you start using the system. All right, so we have the introduction videos, we have the timeline, and we have those fixed date activities, if you remember, that we added a fixed day activity. That will only show, as I said, if the timeline is within the bracket of your onboarding period. The library at the bottom of the page, as we looked at earlier, you can show everything that you have, or you can exclude content that's on the timeline and just show additional content here. You can actually add content to the library that's only visible in the library, not on the activities. So use this tool, what's on the timeline, what's in the library, and you have those options to make it show what you want for each kind of tool place in the system. Right, so let's save our work. We're happy with this introduction plan, and I'm going up and adding in my new user here. So let's invite a user. If you do this manually, add a user, or you delegate that into organization to managers or coordinators, HR coordinators, I usually say it takes 1 or 2 minutes to add a new user. If you remember, I had this example in the presentation. Let's go back to that. When you have signed the first day, they go out of the office. They're very happy to have been added to the company, but they might start in a month or 2 months or 3 months. So the recruiter, the HR person, the manager has signed a contract. They can go into the system and directly just add them. As we are using this as an add-on system for most companies, you don't need to use the company email, the company phone. If you have their approval, you can use their own devices, their own phone. And that's where the learning takes place actually for most of these pre-boarding activities. So you might not have this information in your company servers anyway, so you need to add that manually. If you have needs for connecting to a let's say to an HR system or another system to connect it, it's possible, and we can help you with that as a service. If you add, let's say, summer temp personnel, you can add many at the same time with a CSV or Excel import guide. And it's quite good because at the end of the guide, you can actually select who to send the invites to, so you can automate the invites. Let's say you have 50 new persons starting at one day. Maybe you don't want to do that manually, so you add many at the same time. But usually people drop in over the year, and if you delegate that into the organization, usually you don't add many persons each week, and it's not a very big task. The good thing about adding someone manually is that you actually get to check that it's correct, and it's actually the correct information, it's correct date, and you can add a personal touch if you like. Within the European Union, you have to be sure that you have acquired consent to send out these invitations and add this data to the system, of course. Okay, this is all the information you need, either the email or the phone. You don't need both, actually. I'm just showing you that you have those options. You could actually show a title as well. Let's see that I'm in customer services. So that's my title. Oh, I'm a customer services manager. That sounded good. Let's keep that. Okay, so you see here, I had 5 licenses, and I just added a new license here. Okay, the user is created, and just need to select what content is sent to this user. So I check my plans. I have my plans here. Maybe I have a plan for this type of user category or this country or this segment of the company. And we just added this introduction plan. So let's keep that. I know this employee starts not the 5th of December, but the 8th of December. So I'm checking that is correct. I can expand or compress the timeline for specific staff. I don't need to keep the timeline as is. So that's possible to change that. I can also add content for specific users like this. So they have the standard, but you add something. That could be a way to that you don't have too many plans. Maybe you have 1 or 2 plans, and you just add 1 or 2 content bits for each type of employee, depending on who they are. Okay, I have tailored my timeline. I have this fixed day activity that might show up for this employee. Actually, I also tailor the library, so I can add something here in the library that's not there, or I can deselect something. So everyone has the opportunity to have a bit of hands-on change, so it feels that it's correct. We do feel strongly that this is important. So it's guide. You just click next here to send the invitation. If you're happy with the invitation, okay. I haven't shown you the templates for the push notifications, but it's like an email template, and it will pick up the Stefan, for example, the username and all those standard things here. So I have a template in this one for email and text messages. As you see, the text message is 140 characters only, and the email is a bit more wordy. You also get the logo sent in the email. So as before, you can edit the email and change something. I can add the last name, for example, if I like here, with the placeholder here, like that. So now it's Hi Stefan Sjö, which is my last name. So it's possible to edit as we go along. If I'm happy, it's just send, and now I don't have a text message function here, but I can just show the email. And there we go. The email is sent, and it's coming to in this case, it's coming to my my cell phone like this. and with the logo and all. I just click the link, and it starts automatically. And you can try this yourself, just adding an account and see how it looks. This is a very good way to get a feel for the system and how, if it fits your needs with your employees. But the good thing is, now that I am said this to myself, I can take learning content and complete some activities here as we go along. And that will actually show up here in the reports. So let's see if I have done something. Yes, this is what we can see now in the reports. I was created and who was created me. I received the invitation, I logged in, and you can follow the path that the new employee is taking, so you can check that they are on track, and if they're not on track, you can help them sending out a message, or just trust that the automated reminders will do the trick. So I have viewed the quiz, but I have not completed the quiz, for example. If you go to the user list, you can actually see also a percent complete here. If you have these regulatory things, and it's important for you that they actually complete 100%, you can show the user list. Is quite easy to see how many percent they have completed, and you can also see in their status which content bits they have completed. So that's the short demo of the system. I'm having a quick pause to just check if there are any questions. So no questions at this point. So before we can go into some things in depth, if you like, and you can think of questions, I can just show that we do. I'm very proud to be able to service this communities for smaller companies as well, that we have a free account. You can have one active user, and by active user we mean that they can log in, check the content, and do their onboarding. And when you deactivate them, you can add a new user and they can do their onboarding. So for small companies that employees, maybe 4 or 5 new employees a year, you don't really need the paid accounts. The limitations is that the text messages are limited to 5 a month, which we feel is fair. And it's a very small leap up to the first level, which is mini, where you have 4 active users for €45 a month. And we do accept a lot of different currencies as well. For example, when you have created your account, you will actually see this with a under account settings. You can actually upgrade and downgrade yourself, and it will recalculate your license fee. So you can be in a very sleeper mode, let's say that, for a long time, and then suddenly you have many new employees coming in. You can just activate a small or medium account and pay for that 3 months or whatever the time frame you have, and then deactivate to a free account again when you don't have new employees coming in. So it's very flexible in that respect. We also support different currencies, as I said, US dollars, euro, the Nordic currencies, and it's by credit card. If you have needs for invoices, we do provide that, especially for the European market. Might be able to do that for major companies in other parts of the world. But we use Stripe, so it's very transparent and safe to use this as a payment method. So to summarize, it's a free onboarding solution. It's fully functional in the free version, but you can upgrade with more users at any time. There's no waiting, and you don't need to talk to a salesperson if you don't like. It's instant access. You get started directly when you create an account. And let's make a lasting first impression for everyone that's interested in onboarding and preboarding. This is the small, lightweight onboarding solution that we feel that many companies would be able to add to their existing employer branding or HR initiatives. So thank you for listening today. If you don't have any additional questions, if you do, feel free to contact us at info@boardon.io, and we would be happy to answer any questions.